Good morning, and we're in section 95. If you notice, I skipped section 94 for now. If you notice in 94, it was August 2nd, 1833. This is June 1st, 1833. Um, the reason for this, apparently, is that section 94, they didn't know when it was given right away. But recently, with I think it was the Joseph Smith paper project, actually, they discovered when it was written, and it was already section 94 by that time. But I decided that what I was going to do is do it in order. So August 2nd is the same as section 97. So we'll read those back to back, and read section 95 and 96 first. Uh, kind of just to shake things up, I guess. I hope you feel shaken. Um, Revelation given to Joseph Smith. It's through Joseph Smith, the prophet, in Kirtland, Ohio, June 1st, 1833. This revelation is a continuation of divine directions to build a house of worship and instruction, the house of the Lord. Um, and it does refer to section 88 a few times, if you remember. Um, uh, it says to organize yourselves, prepare every needful thing, establish a house, even a house of prayer, a house of fasting, a house of faith, a house of learning, a house of glory, a house of order, a house of God, that your incomings may be in the name of the Lord, your outgoings may be in the name of the Lord, that all your salutations may be in the name of the Lord, with uplifted hands to the Most High. Um, and so they were supposed to prepare this house, and I guess Section 88 was had such a lot in there. They might have just not really seen it, but also I keep thinking they really didn't know what they were doing. Um, as we look at the history, even at this point, as they are getting reminded that they need to build a house, they start to think of it as a school, which might be one reason is because it's supposed to be for the school of the prophets as well, um, for their learning. But and because of that, they saw it as maybe they could you build it cheaply with logs or a frame building, um, at at most. But the Lord had other plans, uh, and so I think some of it is just not knowing what kind of building they're building, and that will come to them. And I'll go through that a little bit later. Let's just see what the Lord tells them. Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, whom I love, and whom I love I also chasten, that their sins may be forgiven. For with the chastisement I prepare a way for their deliverance in all things out of temptation. And I have loved you. There, wherefore ye must needs be chastened, and stand rebuked before my face. I think about this a little bit in the sense of uh, most of us probably know someone growing up who always seemed to be able to, um, as children, got to do whatever they want. They're out at all times, um, and uh, would be able to do what they want, and you're thinking, oh gosh, I think that's so great they get to do all this stuff. Um, and I always have to go home, and I always have to do this, and moan because your parents expect you in at a certain time, or come home for dinner and things like that. Well, these guys got to stay out and play, or do whatever they want. But as you get older and you look closer to their lives, you realize that it was because their parents didn't care, that their parents were not as full in their lives as your parents were. And maybe you're on the other side. Maybe you have had that life and you do know what it was like to do whatever you want because the parents had no rules, no um were so wrapped up in themselves. I don't know. I was the one on the one hand that where it just seemed like I had a parent that cared that I was in on time, cared that I remember once being at a friend's house and they come to pick me up. I think we were going somewhere, but come to pick me up and I try to hide um, so I wouldn't have to go because I was having so much fun at my friend's house. But uh, I think my friend's mother dubbed me in and said, "Oh, yeah, you got to go now." But I think that is where this is where he is going to be in those details for you. He's going to make sure that he lets you know that they know where they need to be and what they need to um, correct. And I love it. Let's just read that again. Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, whom I love, and whom I love, I also chasten, that their sins may be forgiven. For with that chastisement I prepare a way for their deliverance in all things out of temptation, and I have loved you. So we see that he gives that opportunity. He says, you're doing wrong here. You have to correct your course. But here is the new course setting. This is what you need to go. This is the way you need to go. He doesn't just say, oh, you're bad. You're wrong. Wherefore ye must stand, needs be chastened, and stand rebuked before my face. For ye have sinned against me, a very grievous sin, in that ye have not considered the great commandment in all things that I have given unto you concerning the building of mine house. And that is D&C 888, as we just read. For the preparation wherewith I design to prepare my apostles to prune my vineyard for the last time. That's going back to Jacob 5, that I may bring to pass my strange act, that I may pour out my spirit upon all flesh. So he's saying you need to do this because that's the only way we can prepare to prune the vineyard. So the temple is really tied in as a major part of this pruning of the vineyard. So you're not just going to start gathering people in and they're going to be singing and listening to sermons in buildings. We're going to do some work. We're going to prune this vineyard in such a way that we need a special house to do it. And uh, now we're going to have hundreds of special houses to the Lord. Uh, and then he can prune his vineyard and he can pour out his spirit upon all flesh. I think it's important that we realize this is how he's bringing to pass his strange act, that he may pour out his spirit upon all flesh. So what we're saying is that the temple is linked to this his spirit as well. Um, when you have a temple, it seems that when I've seen them get new temples, I remember the Payson temple being built just recently and being able to go there last year. Um, it seems that a certain spirit is poured out in those areas. Behold, verily I say unto you that there are many who have been ordained among you, whom I have called, but few of them are chosen. So he's ordained many. We've had people join the church and they've been ordained, but they've not been chosen. And they who are not chosen have sinned very grievous sin, in that they are walking in darkness at noonday. So they've joined the church, they got ordained, and then they're just going about their business, not the business of the Lord. Um, and I think that's easy to do. I, you get people that have come into the church and been ordained. Sometimes they do work really hard, and then they just have periods where they're just not diligent anymore. And you always hope that they can become more active or more diligent in their callings or the things that the Lord has them to do. And I think I could be more diligent myself in many of the things I do, especially when we talk about the temple and getting to the temple more often. And for this cause I gave unto you a commandment that you should call your solemn assembly, that your fastings and your mourning might come up into the ears of the Lord of the Sabaoth, um, which is by interpretation the creator of the first day. I like the fact that he interprets that in such a way. We've heard that word before, but this is a good um, way of understanding when we say Lord of the Sabbath. Um, the beginning and the end. Verily I say unto you, I give unto you a commandment that ye should build a house, in the which house I design to endow those whom I have chosen with power from on high. I think it's really amazing. He's saying you'll have that power. You just need to get started. This is the promise of the Father unto you. For I command you to tarry, even as mine apostles in Jerusalem. And if you just go to the promise and the tarrying, you'll see that he gave almost the same um, injunction to his disciples in Jerusalem, but not to build a temple, but to tarry until such time as they were called to do other things. Nevertheless, my servants sinned a very grievous sin, and contentions arose in the school of the prophets, which was very grievous unto me, saith your Lord. Therefore I sent them forth to be chastened. Again, there comes the chastened. Um, and why he sent them forth. He doesn't want the contention, so they need to go and learn something, basically. And that was what was arose in the school of the prophets. And so now they're out. This is June 1st, so the school of the prophets is done. But now they have to go out and do their work. And they're sent forth, and they need to be chastened for what they are doing before they meet again. Verily I say unto you, it is my will that you should build a house. If you keep my commandments, you shall have power to build. So I'm going to end it there, but I think that statement at the end has such great power. Think about you have power to build it. And maybe if we look in our own lives, if we keep our commandments, and if we look to go into the temple, he will give us the power to be able to go to the temple, whether it's 5 minutes down the road or um, an hour and a half drive, 2 hour drive. Uh, this is the sort of thing that he can help us have power to do in our lives. And I hope we can learn to keep the commandments and listen to the chastisements you might have in your life and improve in those areas. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And we'll read more tomorrow. So have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.